What's up, creeps? It's Jason, a.k.a. the Pope of Pain. Of course, I'm here with Riley Rigamortis Mask for another Mask Morgue. Yes, we're in our... still in our temporary studio. Sorry, I haven't built ours. I suck and I'm lazy.
It'll happen.
Or I'm just getting ready for Gathering the Ghouls. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But we will get our morgue set going. But in the meantime, we can't stop the train, right? Nope. The mask train never stops.
Train's rolling.
That's right. So let's talk about today. This is a really cool one because this is something I've never seen in person, and I'm very happy with this. But a 1977 Dom Post Erik. All right, yep. Or the Phantom.
Erik Phantom.
Erik the Phantom, the opera ghost, whatever you want to call this,
call
right?
What you want.
Yeah, because and for those who don't are really familiar with the Phantom of the Opera, I don't have a real deep history on this, but let me go. I think the original silent film was like 1925 and whatnot. Lon Chaney Sr., right? And it was very iconic, right? When the mask was ripped off and it was like, that look and all that stuff. But there's a lot of lore. I mean, this has gone throughout the years. The Phantom has been done many, many times. You know, Hammer Films did it, and everything like that. So, how the Phantom got disfigured is kind of
where it gets lost.
Well, yeah, it gets lost. People use their own interpretations. The original book and the thing, I think he was almost born was a disfigurement. The family didn't want anything to do with him. Kind of roamed with the gypsies out there. That's how he learned his strangulation techniques and all that stuff. But later it was acid thrown in his face and all that stuff.
Burned
and whatnot. So it all depends what film. But regardless, the Phantom, the classic features of the Phantom, the nose is missing, the teeth, the face and stuff, is kind of it's still translated no matter what. So anyway, so now this is an 800 line mask, right? For those who are familiar with the Dom Post stuff and whatnot, which is probably my favorite line of all time and everything.
Final, can't beat it.
Yeah, but this is interesting because this is when they lost the license and they did some resculpts, but I will butcher the shit out of this. So this is where I hand it over to the expert here. Riley, talk to me. Talk to me about this mask. Man.
All right. So right in the late 60s, 66 to be exact, is when they were making the calendar masks at Dom Post. And in the late 60s, early 70s, I don't know the exact date they lost it because I didn't work there.
Sure.
But they lost the licenses, and they made this 800 line in 77 to fill in the gaps of the monsters we all know and love and made some generic versions. We have Erik Phantom, which is kind of a mashup of Lon Chaney on the left and Claude Rains' Acid Burns on the right,
Right, yeah.
And we had ones like Gillis, which was like a creature ripoff, a Fishman ripoff. We had the Wolfman that looks like Chewbacca.
And they just called werewolf after that, right?
Wolf, yeah. And then we got the Nosferatu, which is like unlicensed Dracula. We got that one as well. And this mask, I believe, was sculpted by Bob Short. I talked to Mabry on that, and he knows a lot more than me, so I'm taking his word for it.
Okay, yeah.
And the way you can kind of tell that, because once you start seeing certain artists' trademarks, the Mummy 5000 BC that he sculpted has those little marshmallow teeth that this guy has. So I saw that, and I put two and two together, and he confirmed. So we're going with Bob Short.
I love it.
It's vinyl. It's a beautiful mask, and this mask became super sought after because of our good old boy Mikey Myers in Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, 1988.
This was in like the drugstore, right?
Yeah, Vincent Drugstore.
Yeah.
They got him laying around upon like Tor Johnson, Travelers Dracula, Distortion Seymour. That's the best part of that movie, Yeah. We all want to see our favorite masks laying around, and
freaking love that. I love like when we go back into these 80s movies, and because once again, Dom Post, that was their heyday, the 70s and 80s, and these things were everywhere, right? So in stores, and people use them like except for films and all that stuff. And we just took it for advantage. Me growing up in that era, you didn't even care. You're just like, great. They're always
it was a cheap mask at the time,
So you just didn't even give a shit, But now, I mean, you go look at, like I said, you've seen these, go even the Halloween 3 mask, right, and stuff like that. It's like when you get a glimpse in the movie, you're like, God, these are OGs. These are so cool. But
they just become so sought after.
At the time, you didn't give a hell.
Even Michael Myers collectors, who are very tunnel vision with their collecting, even want this because they want to do the Vincent Drugstore setup and whatnot, which I've seen.
That's cool.
And I think it was produced through 77 through 80.
Okay.
And then in 81 they came out with a glow variant. I believe it's same sculpt and whatnot, but it's a black vinyl with a powder pigment glow paint.
Yeah, so you're getting the exact
like
same
the
one.
Ghoul. Yeah, same mold and everything, but it reminds me a lot of like the glow ghoul and then the flesh ghoul.
Which I love,
Salem's
by the way. Yeah.
And I actually acquired this from the collection of David Lady, if those
Oh.
of you know, another well-known mask channel.
Yeah.
Who he just knows history. He's a sculptor. Dude is very well-respected figure.
Now, I'm so glad you mentioned David Lady on this because, once again, legend in the collecting world, right? And but he actually sent some photos of him wearing this,
Yeah,
in the late 70s, 80s, or
Yeah,
what?
I hit him up and he had some pictures of him using one of these in a haunt. I don't know if it was this exact copy.
Yeah.
But he had some photos of him wearing it.
That's
and
cool.
Just seeing a mask being enjoyed and whatnot. It's not a package costume like you see at Spirit and all that. It was actually when people would put together a costume and be creative and whatnot. So it really warms my cold black heart to see that, you know. So
I love it.
Good stuff right there.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's vinyl. It's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is it's, once again, we don't know what exact year this was produced, 77 to 80,
Yeah,
something
80,
like
yeah.
But it's it is in immaculate condition, man.
Yeah, the paint on this one is real vibrant compared to some of the ones I've seen. I've
Yeah.
seen some odd ones that kind of have like a turd brown on this side of the face.
Yeah.
So this one, actually, the colors are real nice on it. And who knows, David may have touched this up in the past, you know, because he actually knew how to paint vinyl masks and whatnot.
Sure.
And so if he touched it up, though, it's aged with the mask. So, I mean, you can't even tell. You know? And
Beautiful.
I like it either way, you know.
It's a beautiful piece, man, and it's a cool. I mean, I love looking at old school Phantom masks and seeing how they've kind of, you know, their own variants throughout the ages and all this stuff. Because Don Post has done a few Phantom masks, you know, and all that stuff. So, all right, let's get to it. You know, I mean, once again, we don't ever ask what Riley's paid for because he has these drug deals he makes and, you know, gives up kidneys, sells family heirlooms, and but if I was out there looking on this on eBay, what's an average? What do you think I'm going to pay for this? What's the range?
So it's funny because I've seen these guys sell from anywhere to like $350, all the way up to $666. I don't know who spent that. It could have been yours truly, but I'm proud to say it because that number is crazy. And I was almost happier to spend an amount like that.
I love it.
But this copy is just so much more vibrant than some of the ones you'll see selling for $300-$400. So I'd say anywhere from $300 to $600.
So $300, $600, which is awesome.
Which is a range, you know. Masks, how they look, if there's a cut up the back or anything like that.
That's
will weigh on
definitely
the price.
one thing I've learned a lot too, especially with vinyl masks, because they do get tears sometimes, right? They won't rot, but
you can rip them.
You can rip them good.
You have a
and
huge head, you know.
I had a thin Frank that I sold, and the guy
800 line.
Yeah, which is amazing, but it did have a lot of rips, and then I ended up making a deal with the guy. I had to take $100 off just because of the number of rips.
Yeah.
I didn't think it needed that. I thought it was good as is, but I kind of like that. But this one, immaculate condition, amazing piece, man, and I'm very stoked that you brought this, and it's cool it's in your collection now, man, and everything. So
in the Opera House.
all right, guys, so there you guys go. There you go. The 1977 Don Post Erik with a K, by the way, the Phantom, the ghost, the opera ghost, if you want to say. So, this is where if I had my cape, I would just do my little. We'll see you next time on the Mass Morgue.